Hey everybody, jumping back in. I crashed again.
Woo!
What's that, three? Crash number three. So there's gonna be three continued episode ones. I swear, I'm not trying to upload things again and again. Like, oh my gosh. Sorry. Just giving everyone a second to get back in here. Apparently Twitch is still there. It looks like Twitch is good. Give everyone a second to hop back in here. There we go. Okay. Okay, so don't touch Streamlabs, apparently. Jeez. Instagram reel moment while everyone gets back in. Anyway, I saw y'all's comments before I crashed, so when you get back in, I'll answer them. Ah, it's a crying shame. Some detail on this rock missing over here. So yeah, let me know you're back, guys, when you are. Don't blame me if I lost you for the day. It's annoying to keep like dealing with that as a viewer, I'm sure. So really sorry about that. I guess what's happening is I just have so many cameras and things going on that one thing to unbalance everything just makes it shit the bed. So, I mean, it lets me switch the cameras. There, we got three on Twitch. We're back. I think that's y'all. Sweet. Yeah, now we're snoozing that ad. It's like I did something on Streamlabs and then it gets in this like perpetual I can't catch up from what you just did lag and then it like breaks. I am determined to see this finish. Thank you for jumping back in. You know, I appreciate that. Sorry it keeps, you know, I'm saying sorry 100 times in front of you, but they probably just heard it for the first time. It always takes them like, it's like I'll start the stream. It takes you guys like 2 minutes maybe before you notice it. Hop back in. We're gonna check out OBS tonight and see if that software is better. 5-minute Instagram reel. Okay. It's paint time. I busted out the watercolors in a minute. They're all the way over here. It's painting time. Grab your brush. Scary house noises. Welcome back, everybody. Good to see you here. Welcome back to the third attempt after crashing. Okay, got the brushes. Like unboxing video. Oh wait, no. It's like the little Velcro thing. And then it like does that. Like holds them up. See that? Oh, this is so engaging. This is the best content. Look at that. So yeah, the Aquaz brush holder. Yeah, check it out on Amazon. My affiliate links below. Make sure you click that and smash the like button. I'm kidding. I don't have an Amazon affiliate link, and I'm not supported by them at all. Okay, so making room on my desk here. I got this random hammer. I mean, you never know when you need a hammer to do watercolor. Seriously. I think that's it. I have these little, just adorable little water cups. They're so portable. Again, affiliate link down below. Amazon. I want to try that. People say they make a lot of money from it, but it seems like it would be hard to like get that going. I would have to like maybe like have my own branded paintbrush or something. Or paint. Okay. Got the water, brushes. I think I'm good to go. I think I'm gonna need more water actually, but I'll use what I have for now. Water laying around. Okay. It's very volcanic. With watercolor, you do the light first. So yeah, let's start there. I am going to use a pretty big round brush for the wash because I'm probably going to do a blend of washing and detailing. The watercolor techniques evolve. And yes, I wanted to respond to what you said before I crashed, which was they never find anything on those Bigfoot shows, and it's very true. Sorry, Steph. But the most you see on those are like, yo, Jim, did you hear that? I swear I just heard something in the woods right over there, dude. And then they like run over there, and that's like the whole thing. And sometimes they'll make it even worse by making you wait like 4 episodes. And how many times they're gonna use like the camera shake thing before an ad? What was that? Oh my god! Oh, did you hear that? And then there's like the pause, you know?
And then commercial.
There's like the pause. They're like, did you see that? And like all of a sudden, like the camera gets wicked shaky, and it's like, oh fuck! And then just like they just start running, and then it goes to commercial. But then it comes back, and they're just like, I don't know, dude. I swear, I was standing right here, and like a cold hand touched my shoulder. You know, I jumped to the ghosts, but Bigfoot, it would just be like, I swear I heard a stick cracking. We need to make a magma color here. I don't have a palette camera for you, so I'm just the rudest art streamer around. I used to have a palette camera for y'all. Did you guys like the palette camera? Was it like interesting? My chat's not all the way scrolled down, I think. Oh, no, it is. Everything's working. Until I say everything's working.
Right. Murphy thinks that's funny.
Yeah, Dr. Murphy just stood up and smiled when I said that. What? What?
Yeah,
Did someone just say nothing's going wrong?
Oh man, let's get on that.
Oh man, looks like it's time to clock in. So I find starting with orange and mixing it with red is a good magma color start.
Steph said, I heart Bigfoot.
I heart Bigfoot too. It's really cool. But, you know, do a better job if you're gonna go look for them.
Be a little less reality TV about
Yeah,
it.
be a little less reality TV about it. More Skinwalker Ranch. I want Giant Foot Ranch. That's what I want. Foot Slap Ranch. Foot Slap Ranch. Let's go. I'm gonna let a little bit of magma get up on the side of the cliff here for the light.
Ooh, that's such a punchy breakdown.
Yeah. I've been trying to be more fearless about colors. being saturated specifically. It's just they can get so saturated and out of control sometimes. But you're right. Don't be scared of color.
Time is the power.
uh... Flat branch, yes. That's what it has to be called.
This is so funny.
We want some foot slap ranch up in here. I want 17 drones on that shit. With 19 glitching cell phones, there's no Bigfoot. No, but seriously, can we just like cause I crashed, like agree on that again really quick or not? Like agree or not? Yes or no in chat. Like Skinwalker Ranch was almost thorough enough to pass as an A+. It was like it was so close that it hurt. It was like, oh man, if you guys just took it that one extra mile. But also like they still did good things. Like what I'm asking is like, do you agree that they could have done a more thorough job on certain things? That's my question. Obviously, you already know what I think.
Obviously.
Don't gotta hear my fucking opinion again.
I love it.
So lava's gonna be finished with like the gouache for the highlights, cause yeah, but it's just my experience drawing magma that you end up having these white spots where there's like little tiny explosions happening, and because they're little specks, I'm not gonna like start with white, if that makes sense. And that, you're not even gonna see that, honestly. It's gonna like cut off here, and then I'm just gonna cover that orange line with black. I'm gonna get water, just pure water. Actually, it's tiniest bit of orange, but mostly water. I turn my monitor, I'm twisting my neck too much. As soon as I win the lottery, you my team to find Bigfoot and aliens. Yes, I am in. I enjoyed it, but I had a lot of the reality TV factor. It was still good. Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that.
Brandon.
Brandon, yeah. Fucking Brandon. I think they just, a lot of those shows, they need like filler content, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm using water to get rid of these like harsh edges. And I'm not minding. Like something I've had to really get used to with watercolor is that it always dries less than what you put on, whatever it is. So if it's darker, it'll be lighter. If it's lighter, it'll be darker. And I don't have my paper nice and taped down this time. So it's probably gonna get a little warped. Start looking a bit weird, but if you don't want your paper to get warped, then don't watercolor, okay? Go paint acrylics on canvas boards. You think still Brandon's still mad about them digging?
I doubt it.
Ah, whatever. We've gone orange all the way up. Might as well now. We're here. I find as like the light from magma goes farther back in atmospheric perspective, it gets redder. Reddens. How would I say that? Redder? It reddens. It's the red deepens.
I think any of those.
Any of those work?
I
Okay.
think so.
We
Depending
are
on the context of the rest of the
professional English users up in here.
Good try.
I love this. Thanks, Steph. I'm having fun with it too. I like a good volcano scene here.
I love like the pop of the orange with no other colors. Right now it looks crazy. It's so bright on the, especially like on my phone screen.
Cool.
Like that orange is just like so vibrant.
And like, see how that red was like super intense when I first put it down? Like, it's not gonna be in like 5 minutes. Watch. Like that's it. Like always sketched me out with the watercolor at first. Just bringing a little more of that red here. All right. The thing about these tiny cups is they don't have a lot of water, so it dirties up quick, but they are very portable, which is nice. So yeah, there's that. Oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna mix a little bit of black. And I haven't, honestly, I'm thinking, actually, all of my uh, volcanic paintings have been with opaque paints. So I haven't done transparent black yet, but I'm curious. Let's see what this color is because what's the difference? So I'm trying to see the difference between like black and this gray I have. I feel like the gray would be. I guess the problem with this gray is it has blue in it, so if it mixes with orange, it'll might get too green. I'm just gonna go pure black, see how it comes out. There's only one way to know, and I'll start there. I'll pick that option. Are there 36 by 22 or larger canvases? Yeah. I mean they go up to where like canvases go up to the size to where you can't fit them in your car. Uh like 60 by 60. Like they get up to. I was looking at the art store. But they also get expensive. Like a 60 by 60 canvas is I think it's like almost $300 just for the canvas. But yeah, I recently bought the largest size watercolor paper I could find on the internet. It like sends to you in single sheets. I think that's 22 by 30 or 30 by 22. But canvases, they just go up in size. You could have a canvas painting as big as your wall if you wanted to. Like those, they have to actually take off the frame and like re-stretch it in your house because it's too big to transport as an unfolded painting. But yeah, I mean pretty much any size you want within an inch would be out there. I'm gonna water down this black to a gray. And we can discuss what it would cost after we know what you want to paint because it depends on the subject matter, it depends on how hard it is, how long it's gonna take, how big the painting is, how much paint you gotta use, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to just like ballpark that. So this black is actually pretty warm of a black. And just kind of essentially a wash right now. Okay, we are looking at a 48 by 36-ish. Damn. That's the size it would be fantasy based on some of your paintings. Okay. I mean, that's a big old painting. Like, you know that's gonna cost a lot, right? Like just straight up with you. I'm sure like if you're asking for something that big, you're ready to know that, but just a 40 I have never done something that big before, put it that way, and I've done a couple of 28 by 36s, I think it was, which took me a while, a couple months. But I'm at a different pace now, I think, so it wouldn't take that long. And I've learned more, so more experienced. We can talk about it some other time, but I do want to get on your December calendar for this. Yeah, let's just talk about it later, for sure. Do you care if it's I mean, I guess then it wouldn't be like drawing of the day if I streamed something that long. I was gonna say, would you care if it would be streamed or not? That's a big old painting, Stephanie. So I don't actually have like first thing that comes to my mind is I don't actually have a canvas that size. So we would have to count in the price of the canvas. And the last time I looked, something that size, I think there was like a discount section. I think they were like I think that size is only like around $100. Like 90 bucks for a canvas that size. 60 to $90. Somewhere around there. But I have like a membership thingy at the store too, so might be able to get it cheaper. I don't know. I gotta look into it. That's kind of exciting. I've never done one that big before. Just thinking like, oh geez, balancing the full-time video game job now.
That's what I was thinking.
It's all right. I'll just probably chip away at it on the weekends. Maybe a little bit in the morning with my coffee or something. Because when I work from home, I put in my 8 hours or 6 hours-ish, but I don't really like do it all in one chunk, so. And I hope when you say December, you don't mean done by December. I don't know if I can pull that off. Someone almost got to, well, I haven't heard back from Mariah, so I know she was redoing her kitchen or whatever. So she was gonna take the cue, but yeah, I think we got to a deal soon enough and can make you the next giant masterpiece painting. You can stream it if you want for sure. Cool. We can talk about it when you're ready for sure. I have a huge wall. Nice. You'll need it for that size. Yeah, so you can pay for the canvas up front wherever you need to get started. Yeah, I might have to request that. There'll be no timeline for the finished piece. Well, in that case, It's very good. It's a very good case. I didn't have something to say after that. It's a good case. So I'm avoiding the little rocks as much as possible. Got an Instagram reel going here. Gotta remind myself. I'll leave a lot of white, lot of white gaps like that. No, not done by December. Yeah, I don't know if I can pull it off anyway. Being real with you. Because something that big, that like much of a masterpiece, like, yeah. I don't like promises with pieces like that. Because they're such an they're adventures. It's like I almost like to like draw them a few times first before I even get to the big canvas. You know what I mean? I spend like a couple weeks like doing smaller versions. Sort of like how we like when y'all give me one of those crazy ideas I don't know how to draw, and we gotta like go into that whole thumbnail process and look up references, and because you know if you're like 19 giraffes with 27 pineapples throwing them off a fucking Empire State Building, then you know. I always bring back the giraffes because they're incredibly awkward animals.
Oh, they're so funny looking.
They're so hard to draw for that reason. Like you can't just be like horse body. It's not it's not a horse body. It's like a hyena horse. Like you ever see hyena anatomy? How it's like the hind legs are way shorter than the front legs and they're all like angled up weirdly. It's like hyena horse. There you go. That's what a giraffe is.
You know, oddly enough, I too had to draw a giraffe this week.
Isn't it hard?
It's very hard.
They're so
I
weird.
only had to be good enough for it to be like, hey, that's a giraffe, but
It's almost like it's one of those things in real life that looks wrong
it does.
already.
Mhm.
So when you like draw it, it's more wrong.
Exactly.
There's gonna be a lot of like just playing with wavy lines here. Being careful not to like trace over everything I did with the other tones and allow all three different tones to exist. Even those like dark drops that happen, like like they disappear when they dry. I've been watching a lot of like watercolor time lapses and like it makes sense when I watch like see what they're doing now. Like, oh, okay. Like I had it a little like in my opinion how I was thinking of it was a little bit wrong before where like you wash the whole thing. I mean it depends. Like I guess if you're doing like a monochromatic then yeah, wash the whole thing, but if it's like all the colors then it's like wash the light areas. Like literally what's light? Where's the light hitting? Where's the light casting? Make those the washes. I remember I learned that a lot with actually the cave bar drawing because there was like I mean I dug myself that hole because I remember drawing it and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if there was like warm and cool light. So like I had the whole like orange light bulbs in the room and the blue neon lights, so I remember having to like decode that. It was difficult, but what I learned was to like do the blue and the red and then stack on that. So it's all a process. Yeah, it's starting to get like bendy and I'm accidentally going on the other pages. I haven't taped edges much in this one, this sketchbook, but I do in the other one. It's smaller, that's why. I'll text you next week and we can talk about it. Seriously, no timeline. Sweet. Yeah, that sounds good. And I will have the budget to make this happen. Alrighty. I mean, hopefully I don't scare you away. It's a big, big painting. I like to do what I think is fair. I may have given this spiel before, but I genuinely calculate like how many hours I think it's gonna take, supplies, all that stuff. So I think difficulty factor is something that's worth adding in too, because not every subject is the same. Like for example, I want you to paint me a giant realistic honeycomb versus like interstellar space with like a black background and stars. Like you're talking 36-hour painting versus 2-hour painting. So if it's like alien bar with a dance floor, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it. That's what I'm saying. Like, what'd you say? 40, 48 by 36-ish. Okay. So it's that 4 feet by 3 by 4 feet.
Yeah.
Those paintings end up using a lot of paint too. Thank you for the interest, though. Really. I hope we can arrive at a deal, make it happen. It's exciting. I mean, like, it's especially exciting because I know you're gonna give me like a cool, fun subject. It's not gonna be like, I want my family portrait. No offense, Grandpa, but it is a boring subject. You know, relatively compared to like dragons, aliens. So I'm just to give you a little bit of my thought process. I'm just slowly darkening right now. Now that I've gotten like my gray, I'm just gonna chill with the black and see where it goes. I like that some of these turn out kind of almost manga cartoon stylish and not so painterly. So I'm trying to keep it there.
Since you're going to love the subject.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna love it and it's gonna like scare me at the same time. I'll be like, oh, that's so sick, but then I'll be like,
Can of worms.
yeah, can of worms. Exactly. Like there's probably gonna be one aspect to it that's like, ooh, okay. Oh yeah, I mean, pretty much already said yes. I don't officially say yes until I'm also religious about not starting anything unless I get the down payment first. So there's that. And I usually ask for half up front. So I can survive and pay my bills while all I do is paint your painting, basically. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. I like to be transparent about what I need and why. Because I can't paint good when I like go out for a whole work day and I come home at 8 o'clock at night, you know? Like I paint my best when I'm like day off or like the day is not off but dedicated to the painting, you know what I mean? And I just like get to wake up on my coffee about it, have a sketch about it on the porch with the sunrise and you know what I mean? So I wouldn't know that so much without like at this point I've done several commissions now of like that nature. So I feel more confident in knowing like how it's gonna play out for me on my end. Down payments, no problem. We'll talk next week. All right. Prepared for the money. Hey, you guys are the best. Seriously, like, you guys have bought so much of my art and supported me so much. Like from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you. Seriously. Like, I guess a lot of people believe you need to get all these clients and stuff, but like, sometimes the three big fans, like you know, like you guys, like, y'all support so much. It blows my mind that you keep wanting to. Like, I don't know, it's just this feeling where it's like me? Really? Like, okay. But like you already bought like four of my artworks. Like you sure? Like, okay. You want more? Okay. I guess I'm still in denial. It's the artist's curse. I can't like my own work and I always feel like I'm not good enough. What's the word for it? There's a term for that. Truly, it's like a experience I go through. I genuinely like I'll draw you a landscape because I don't know if I'm good enough to like do people. So, but then I like you know you guys push me through a painting like the alien bar. I'm like okay, I think I can do people if I put my mind to it and like really sweat over it and make it happen. You know, I guess that's the difference. It's not you know it's all what you've drawn the most, but I want to up the bar on all that stuff as much as possible. Now let's see. We have a record of a 4-minute Instagram reel clip. Yes! Forgot to stop it.
Yay!
Do I get a prize?
Yes. Research is really
I'm about to read Stiffs.
Let's go to the things you've done and don't want them in space and color and whatever you do.
I'm gonna read the comment again. It's going to be based on my favorite paintings you've done and don't own in space and color and whatever you dream up. Okay. When you say space, you mean like outer space? Is that what you mean? That could still mean anything to me.
It could.
Okay. Uh, darken this up.
Yes.
Outer space, okay. Sort of like the Planet Eater one kind of vibe. Like that environment, you're saying? Like the black, like the interstellar, like nebula thing. Stars, cool. So like they tell you to color in the lines and the direction of the surface. Same thing with paint strokes, if you can. Actually, might go to a thinner brush here. I like about watercolor, it's like you always have a minute to like push it around before it dries. Not so much acrylic. It's like the second you touch the canvas, it's you have probably less than a second to swipe it off with your finger or it's there forever. I would say like the black watercolor actually almost looks exactly like the gray pens, doesn't it, that I use? The gray ink. It's like it's cool to stumble upon that. Makes me wonder what the Earl Grey would have looked like instead.
Current color palette is reminding me of your one with the hornets.
Yes. Yeah, it's very like flat, like dull saturation. Yeah, like cave.
As if it just reminds me of like how green it was and how bright it was.
Yeah, it's like a color accent experiment with that one. It's like I'm gonna only color in the wasp. Those are fun. I started doing that with Photoshop at first. How you can like take a picture of an apple on a table and
Yes.
gray everything else out besides
I did that as a kid too.
dope. My other favorite one to do is like I could get like 17 Jokums in one picture and all around the yard. Those were fun to make. It's true. You can do it with video too, which is even funnier. But it's harder because you gotta like if you're doing it like without cool effects, you have to like make sure you don't walk where the other ones, well, like the other yous are. So I'd have like two me's doing like a high five, you know.
Yeah.
Then I'd have like another two of me like playing catch with myself. The high five one was hard to get because I had to like find the spot where my hand was like touching my other hand, and like I had to put like a stick on the ground where I was standing to like get it right. Oh, the projects I used to do just to learn like cameras and stuff. I honestly haven't decided on a light source. I'm just kind of doing like an overcast day, because usually when you're near a volcano, it like, especially if it's like smoldering for the last week, it's like the sky is like pretty much an overcast all the time around it. I'm gonna slowly bring this black down into the orange now and stop it like around here. Because that orange up here at least was intended to be a wash. Because the lava's not that bright. Like if you look at it's bright, but it's not. It's actually only when there's like large amounts of it. But that's a little too unfeathered there. And grab a little orange, bring it back in. I'm learning to let the colors react. Watercolor, that's the trust part. So same deal. You know, like that's gonna be scary. It's like, oh my god, it's too dark. But like, no, it really it goes away. It's almost like, oh, I should have put it darker. I constantly doing that. My computer's taking off right now with the fans. And it can the light can take over a little bit more as it gets farther away. So like over here, because it's getting farther and farther, and what light does is it bounces all through the particles that are in the air, whether it's water or vapor or smoke. And so all that smoke and stuff here and atmosphere is getting like the red light is getting caught up in it and kind of like masking the detail of the rock. I've managed to actually cut my detail off here. As you can see, like above my paintbrush, the less detail compared to below it. And if I was even more perfect with it, I would have had like 3 sections. Like I would say the bottom section's all the same detail. I would say like section 1 almost nothing, like just the main shape. And then like section 2 and then section 3. Like max detail. And even then on the last big section, fade the detail. Like your most detail is gonna be like below that brush. Like that's where you, if you want to. but even then, it's not your focal point either. You know, that's where like the pitfall can be. You can fall into like the I need to make this detailed because it's the foreground. In one sense, you're technically true, but in another sense, it's not the focal point of the drawing. So it's almost like this lake is right now, obviously, because it's like so blaringly orange. Things I'm still learning and playing with and learning how to manipulate. Like a lot of the journey lately has been figuring out how to get your mind to react to my painting the way that I want it to, and not how you want it to.
Mind control.
Yes, I'm trying to control your mind.
Just some casual mind.
Yes. So interesting. Nothing on my personal page stream. Twitch is still the king, but we did a lot of work getting people over there. Season 1.
It's the most enjoyable.
Yeah, has all the toys and chat toys.
Yeah. Nowhere else can I put your face in the chat. So it's
Yeah, it took 2 weeks to approve that damn face.
I love those emojis. So perfect.
I love that it shows up in my software too. Like
Yeah.
before I had to have like a Twitch open on the side, but now I just happily have everything appear in one chat, which is amazing. Yeah, get your API together, Streamlabs. Jeez. Behind the game. You can see it like quite wasn't the right, like, I don't know, to me it wasn't right just keeping that orange. The walls at least. It almost kind of looks where I wanted already. That's the thing with watercolor. Sometimes you can just blend the two colors just right. And it like...
It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like that's what I like about it. Is acrylic, it's... I guess like... the two words, I never thought to say it this way. It's like automatic car versus standard car. Like watercolor is like an automatic. It shifts for you. Standard is acrylic. So you have to like purposely find every single color you want in acrylic, if that makes sense. Super Chex Mixer, what's up, man? Did you complete your Ocarina of Time playthrough? No, but we were talking about that today. We were talking about that today, and I'm gonna bring it back. I've left off on the water temple. That's where we are. So next time we'll be picking it up, unlocking the water temple. I think I gotta go get the boots that like help you sink. But yeah, that's fun. I want to get back into that. I had to take a break from streaming for like a couple months because of things and life things, but yeah, I'm back at it. So definitely, because I like to have a little diversity there. Sweet, bring it back. Hell yeah, I definitely will. Maybe I'll do it tonight. Who knows? So the next step is to fix this spot that I didn't do anything on, and then darken. So I'm just gonna straight up like get this orange out of here. Yeah, straight up. Let's see, let's get my Instagram reel moment. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. I forgot to switch the camera, my bad. I'm so focused. Love. Yeah, you guys want to see the drawing, not my face. I get it. I thought you'd want to like see my face, but oh man. I want you to imagine what I'm painting. That's the practice of today's lesson.
So you describe it and we'll all follow along.
Okay. So there's like 17 giraffes and they're purple. And they're all doing the Chicago dance. Okay. That's gonna be the joke forever now. The giraffes.
Giraffes. I have cows. Cows are pretty important too.
Yeah.
Cows have stuck around for a while.
Only ones at bars though. That go to bars.
And well, it came up because the tornado drawing, remember?
Oh,
That was like where the cow thing sparked from. It's like
right.
they put cows
True.
in
Oh yeah.
the tornado. So the cow made the appearance.
Oh.
So funny. You drew it in. Like waited to see if someone would notice.
Oh yeah.
Cow. So
It took forever people noticed too. Yeah, that was good. And then it like became that became a whole joke too. That's how I like busted Steph balls for like a week after that. Did they? No, I'm not putting a cow in it, guys. No, yeah, expect no, because we gotta bring up like how, like the cow was, like we were already so far into the drawing and we had like 17 dudes in there and it was like, come on, let's put a cow at the bar. It's like, guys, you want me to add yet another character to the shit? Like,
It was, you did it. You snuck it in there.
true.
No one made you add a cow.
I know.
You did that for comedic value.
I'm just glad it was comedic.
Did you share your Instagram?
No, I didn't. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you didn't hear what she said, she goes, "Did you stop your Instagram reel?" I was like, "Nope." Well, I guess on the bright side, the last time I edited my video from that, it was like, it was annoying because I had all the extra footage, but it also worked out because I had like shots I wouldn't have kept or done. It's like the cameraman motto, like you never stop filming because like
You have more to pick from.
yeah.
The cat was so funny.
I remember just like smiling for like 15 minutes while drawing it and like looking at chat just waiting for Steph to explode. This is the best.
That's funny.
Because y'all wanted the cow so bad, especially my mom. Oh my god, she wouldn't shut up about the damn cow the whole time. I think my mom wanted the cow more than all of you. She became like the cow fan. Like even all the way into the nope drawings. She's like, put the cow.
That's the best thing about drawing the day is then every finished piece ends up with this hilarious backstory of the crap we joked about the whole time.
Seriously. No kidding. I find this detail phase of drawing to actually be like very relaxing. Like more relaxing than the layout drawing part. Like therapeutic levels of relaxing. No joke. Like if I could just have like almost like it's almost like I never thought about doing this, but like coloring books? It would be fun to like watercolor coloring books instead of like just coloring them in with like a marker or something. Yep. You know what I mean? Like make them like realistic and painterly and shit. It's actually I like that idea. Yeah. Even though I am always attached to like doing the drawing myself too, it would be fun. Cause then you could bring in the gouache too, and like do like highlights and shit, and like cover up some of the harsh black lines that they use in those type of coloring books. So I found it hard to paint Reykjavik volcano because it's like tar black dried magma is so it like absorbs so much light that like you almost can't even like light it up. It's weird. It's like the highlights on it are almost just from these are weirdly drying colors of magma basically. Almost like it's like the ash. There's like these ashy parts of it that turn more white. It's not even that. It's like there's light shining on it. Like honestly, like the light lit up parts are just like less black. They're almost like blue. There's this like cerulean, dark cerulean blue that happens in like the gases. I remember that was another thing. There was like this gas coming out of the Reykjavik volcano, and the sun was hitting it in such a way that it turned it like this. It was like this super toxic looking like turquoise blue gas or smoke. It's really cool. Just remember thinking like I wouldn't think to like use that color, you know? Sometimes it's nice to have a dry brush with watercolor. Um, the detail kind of stays more where you put it with a dry brush instead of sort of bleeding around. And I got these like crazy shadows coming from the window now, but it's okay. Oh, that worked right there. You actually no, you put it up again. Keep going. Right there. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh.
It's probably gonna move again at some point, but
Oh, it is the sun. If it stopped moving, we'd have a bigger problem.
yes, your mom is another reason why I love the cow so much. Yeah, I did it more for my mom, honestly, because it was like we would all move on like for like an hour or two like different topics, and then like suddenly like my mom would just come out of nowhere and she's like, yeah, but the cow. So she got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the cow, but I'm not gonna say it. I have to like hold down the paper here because it's too warpy. That sounds like a Wordle word that would happen.
I was literally thinking that. Stop.
Where you're just like, oh my god, it's like I can picture you getting it first because you always do it, and then just be like, oh, you know this word. It's just annoying because you use it all the time. But it's.
You got it today, and I didn't.
I'm telling you, those starter words are they're just so good. I started with youth.
Smart.
By the way, we're talking about this New York Times game. If you don't know about it already, you might love this one, Mom, actually, because I know you're a word game person. Wordle, and it's you can only access it on the browser because it resets every day. But you get to do it once a day, and it's pretty cool. Check it out. It's like at first you want to play more, but then you get used to like the daily thing. Like I almost wouldn't even want more than one Wordle a day.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's like the Wordle game you can get.
There is.
Like the
yeah,
full, yeah.
There's like an app, like a knockoff type version of it where you could just play.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have your stat.
It's fun, the diversity of color you can get from one color dip in watercolor too. That's the other thing I like about it. Like through transparency, you always get like 7 color variations of your one color that you would like the amount of variation from this black to this like here to here in my painting in blacks and grays is so much, and I didn't have to like get white and black and like mix different ratios of it 5 times and then blend them together smoothly at where they met on their edges. Like that's the difference between acrylic. It just takes long. I mean, you can get the same result. It just like takes longer, and I mean, I like that process. It's satisfying. I like mixing paint and taking my time with it and slowly blending and feathering until it. I mean, that's like acrylic. That's what it's all about. But I think I've grown to like watercolor for drawing the day. It's very nice for it. This kind of a thing. I don't even think I'd be doing color today. But you know me. I always start drawing out the day like, all right, guys, we gotta take it easy today. 10 hours later. I'm like trying to eat my dinner on stream because I'm like
Maniac.
I'm so close to being done. I'm just like
Power through.
power through. I really haven't given one bit of thought to like this texture. It's just kind of wavy lava things
Uh-huh.
and just go from there, basically. It's looking like lava. It's looking like a volcanic-y place. Good. Oh, volcanoes. Jeez. Do another Instagram reel over here on the right. Boop. This is a very sloppy Instagram reel. I'm gonna have to like cheat in the video editing and make it look like I didn't forget like 900 times. It's gonna be like, holy crap, he sketched that fast, and then just like 30 seconds of painting. Like my pen's gonna be like, boop, and it's gonna be like a full sketch. So here's a case of like, oh no, it got too dark. But what you can do is get some water quick and just be like, yeah. And I want this to be darker. Something that's very important in your artworks when you're doing something like this that isn't abstract and it's part of the reality and you're trying to do real lighting and perspective and stuff is like to really, really focus on your edges. Like what separates what, especially in value. So, like, see how I really made it a clear, different gray? Like, that really clear edge. That's what I mean by edges. Like, you can trace that darker gray. And, like, that really pushes that mesa back for me in my brain. And even this mesa, but I'm going to save the gouache for that because it's already too dark. Like, that mesa actually has to be brighter. Slightly. Like, almost as, like, needs to be, like, distant mountains almost cross into the same color as the clouds or the sky sometimes, if they're far away enough and the atmosphere is thick enough. No, thank you. No, I didn't stop the reel. I know, I'm just I'm not mad. Oh, jeez. All right. So, again, I haven't really gotten to another stage yet in the drawing, just darkening, darkening, darkening. I gotta get to the left side. It's probably even gonna go another shade in the foreground, darker. Like that kind of a shade, honestly. Um, it won't dry like that. Edges are becoming a little tricky here, but that's the dance of having too much water on your brush or not. Something I still am working at all the time. Always working at everything. I mean, I think some things plateau after a while to a point where like improving any more at it isn't going to like give you leaps and bounds of like visual improvement in your work, but still worth always improving on everything. Like at a certain point, you understand blending enough to where like people don't notice it's blended. It's like perfectly smooth, and it's like, I mean, yeah, you could technically get good at blending a threshold between two colors better and better. I guess it would be like, this is what happens. I figured it out how to say it. Is you figure out how to do it, right? And then you don't need to anymore, but then you just get faster at it, is basically what happens. you figure out how to cut corners with the same result. Like I remember we used to draw every single grass blade into the averaged out shapes, not like keeping them individual grass blades, but I have completely converted to just brushed Bob Ross grass. It's way faster and looks almost identical, but it's like the process is way less painstaking. Yeah. Basically, I have a very special brush for grass now. You basically take a brush and you ruin it so that all the bristles are kind of like permanently spread out and kind of like all janky and whatnot, and then you like use those to do the grass, and it gets like you gotta get used to how the stroke is, but basically it'll get a clump of grass done with each dab, which is way faster than single blades. I mean, my chance portrait I had to, which was a dog, like because of the way that one was, but by the time the grass got up close to the camera, I had to draw individual grass blades. So are exceptions to where you like, if you're going to be like, if like your camera shot is like zoomed into the grass with a dog sitting in it, then like you can't avoid it when like the grass blades are literally the size of your pinky nail, like when you blow it up to the canvas. But like anything remotely less than that, like do yourself a favor and find a brush and a certain stroke that gets it done in one dab. Like seriously, the secret of painting right there is the detail in the brush strokes. Because I mean, you could take like, I've done it. It comes out cool. Just more time. You can take just a thin brush like this and do your entire painting with it. But you just find that like clouds are easier if you just get a bigger brush and blend it out. And then it crosses this line where like you just get better at finding those details, like with a bigger brush anyway. And then you don't even want to go back to the small brush because it's literally 9,000 times faster. Like hell, if you could find a brush that just covers the whole field in one dab, you just get the whole field done in one thing, I would say that's not cheating. That's perfect. Be impressive that you got like the atmospheric perspective and everything in one dab. I'd want to see that, but that's the other masterful thing that a lot of people don't talk about with Bob Ross is he'll take a big brush, but he'll put 4 different colors of paint on different spots on the brush so that when he goes to paint with it, it puts down 4 different colors in different ways. It's like like for example, what he'll do, like one of the best tricks I've ever learned from him was doing a waterfall. So right, like let's do like a waterfall my way. It would be like dark blue, slightly lighter blue, slightly more lighter blue, highlight white color for like the splash foam and like the sun beaming off the water, right? And I would get all those 4 colors. I'd put like the base. I'd slowly build up the lighter colors into the highlights. Bob, he just gets a fan brush and he goes, I'm going to take a little light blue on this side of the brush. I'm going to take a little white in that section of the brush. And then he just literally goes like this. He's just like, and it's a perfectly looking waterfall. Done. And like the little white lines and the little like channels of water come out perfectly because he has like that little piece of white on the brush, and then like it also like each it perfectly gradients into each other too, like each color, because like the nature of a brush and how the paint's wet and how it's already next to each other, and like the more little things you can find like that, like that's how he finishes a painting in a half an hour, because he found out how to do that for every single thing in his painting: the rock, the path, the tree, the water. So he just has this neat little thing you can do. Ain't that just magic? Just like that. Just yeah, no, genius. Like that is how you paint. Like he was good at it. And it's a style. It's a fast, low detailed style of painting. There's a lot of acrylic artists out there. They painstakingly do every little There's this guy I follow. I can't remember his name, but he'll do like these crazy realistic like dragons and fantasy acrylic paintings. And when you watch his time lapses, they're like it's like drawn with like a pencil. It's like he just has a tiny brush like this the whole time, and just one little kind of like piece at a time until it's slowly crafted. The black on the right needs to be matching more with the left. Value, darkness. Dilute my brush really fast and there's gonna be a lot of pits in this rock because it's very new rock. And it was very turbulent. Like nothing is neat about like how volcanic magma dries. Because it's always drying and it's an expression of like a natural disaster that just happened. So because of the way it dries and folds over itself and stuff, it's like I'm allowing a lot of these like really dark specks to stay. You know, again, Bob Ross technique. Like, why go around and draw a bunch of little tiny pits into the rock when you just like let the water gather up some pigments on its own and do it. I'm covering up some of the little rocks I drew, but I'm just gonna come back with some gouache and sparkle them up. Even this could go down another shade, but keeping detail in mind, sort of like how you would watercolor ripples in the water, not touching your marks, you know? That's another thing that, like, you know, go figure, like, watercolor makes water easier to draw. I don't know if that's like a happy accident or whatnot, but yeah, it's true. Like, because it's watery, it's easy to draw watercolor easier, like the way it like happens on the paper than acrylic. Water's always mixing, swirling, and a lot of turbulence. Did you know turbulence, by the way, is one of the least understood things in science? So there's two kinds of turbulence, and I forget the name of them. But one kind of turbulence is, so like, you know, when you have like, say you had like a plastic bag filled with water, right? And you just like immediately like had the bag and like poked a hole in it with a knife like that and let the water come out of it. That water will maintain a perfect shape as it pours out of that bag all the way into the bucket. And there's a property name for that, and that's one kind of turbulence. And the other kind of turbulence is the sort of turbulence you would see on like the surface of Jupiter, the way its gases are turmoiling and twisting. And trying to understand that turbulence and how it reacts and like understanding its pure chaos is like one of the biggest mysteries in science right now. Like there's literally like a $1 million award if you can find the equation to solve turbulence right now. Currently, present day. So good luck solving turbulence out there. Basically, and apparently the thing with it is the reason why it would be such a big discovery or thing to figure out is because it runs a lot of the most incredible systems in our universe. Like, you know, hydrodynamics, like how the universe is laid out with like dark matter and stuff, and the shapes of how everything kind of come together. Like it's all turbulent. It kind of looks chaotic, but what they're claiming is that there's like math to it, you know? It's just we don't understand it. Little nerdy spiel for you. The thing is, I just feel like we inherently think we like understand everything about things like that on accident, like a lot of the time, you know? It was also there was a couple things. It was like one of those videos where it was like things science doesn't quite have a grasp on yet, you know? Something like, there was another one. It was like with numbers or something. I'm trying to remember what it was. think it was like prime numbers or something. Like we don't understand, like we still don't know the biggest prime number or something like that, or why they occur or something. So what's that? What's that? It's only it only divides evenly by itself in one, right? It's a prime number. To think that they found prime numbers like with a lot of digits, like if you saw a number like that, you wouldn't think like nothing divides into that by one instead of one evenly. I don't know. It's like something that big, like something's gonna divide into it. They just get increasingly harder to find the higher you go, apparently. Which is just an interesting property of numbers to me. I like weird properties like that. Like to me, they don't necessarily need to have some great effect on my life or like the world, but it's just cool to know that like this weird thing that happens we don't understand, but it's very consistent. I like those kind of things. Like patterns in the universe we don't get yet. They never will. We tend to like track the behaviors of things good, but not find the why. Like Skin Slap Ranch, for example. Okay. We got the sunbeams, but we don't care. I mean, are the sunbeams that distracting? That bad? Yes. It's gone. Slightly lighter gray. To sort of match this value here. Like kind of how it, it's dark. And then get my pure water. Actually, that's gonna dry light enough, I think. I'm gonna take the gamble. Bring out this edge again. Really separate these two here in value. These two being that little mesa and that. I'm just gonna leave that one light between there. And actually go darker, even slightly. Can be very safe with watercolors, just layers as slow as you want. Could be 0.1 more opacity each pass, and you'll know at least that you're not darkening something beyond its fixing point. I mean, there's always a fixing point. You can just switch to pure opaque gouache and just like repaint a spot that looks wrong. I think what happens with that is it ends up sort of like when you take a photograph of it and upload it, and it starts like you notice the texture of the gouache next to the watercolor. So I find myself having to sort of Photoshop it a little. But that's just like because like when I'm taking a picture of it, the light that I use for my photography is like coming from a certain angle. It's really hard not to get like angles like that with light on your paintings when you take pictures of them, especially if they're glossy. Oh my God. I like matte paint because it's so easy to photograph. That's why I've also loved gouache and watercolor low keys, because it's really easy to photograph. Like looks the same no matter what angle you're looking at it from. Acrylic drives me nuts. I'm like bringing the painting all around the house trying to find like one spot where it's like basically you need to have an angle. Your camera needs to be at a different angle than whatever the light bulb is shining at it, because then you get the glare like it's a mirror. So it's like you have to like find the placement, and it's usually two lights, because then it's like you almost see the light in the painting on the reflection, like where it's coming from. It's really frustrating. I need to look up like how people better photography, like their like acrylic paintings. They're probably like, oh, just get your $5,000 light, and yeah, I'll get right on that. Get my $20,000 studio up and running real quick. That's what I need. I need like the home brewed, you know. What's fun about this layering, I mean, you know, you can just layer this till it's black. Like, and you're just gonna keep getting new interesting little textures. And what will happen too, you gotta be careful of, like the balance of adding pigment and water is sometimes you think you added pigment, but you didn't, you just added water. And you'll end up like sort of pushing it around more than you'll sort of like dig out this little circle where it was already painted before. So that's something to watch out for with watercolor. Like, I think it's better to think like put a little too much on, because you can always add some water and like kind of spread it out, than too little, because too little ends up like being the watery thing in my experience. Like right now it's getting a little too watery because I already had water there. I find it good to always have a paper towel nearby or something to dab it quick, which is also be careful because you can dab a big old like vacant hole of color where it used to be. I find it's not, don't dab actually. I take that back. It's more like you like get down to eye level with your drawing, so where you can see right, like you can almost see the surface tension of the bead of water above your painting, and then get it so that the tip of the paper towel just barely touches that bead of water, and like it'll like suck the water right off the painting without you touching the painting, if that makes sense. So you can like get a lot of water off of it before you like mash it around. Acrylic, it's really durable. Sometimes when I'm make a mistake, I'll literally get like a wet rag and just wipe the whole thing. And like anything that's already dried under it is perfectly fine. Like literally like a wet rag like across the whole painting, like wiping it like you're cleaning a counter, to get like, I've had a few like big errors where I'm like, oh okay, yeah, I just gotta like get it off before it's too late. And you have about like 30 seconds to do that at the most. I would say less, like 10, 15. You get to it quick with some water. You know, be gentle, of course. But watercolor, if you did that, you would ruin the entire painting. You would like, you'd drag like one side of the painting to the other. And here's an example of like, be careful with your edges, right? Like the one spot is like, don't let this black go into that red. I mean, you know, like again, you could get the gouache and mix it and find that red, and but why spend the time when you can just get it now, right? You can get a lot of steps done in one step with watercolor. That's what I like so much about it. But it takes a lot of skill. Like I still mess it up a lot. Like I know what I'm trying to do. Um, Decided I'm gonna make that an edge there. See that? How I like brought that up a little. I can zoom in and show you. It's kind of small. Oh yeah, no, never mind, because I don't. Oh wait, there we go. That's fine. See right there? So like that line there. I want to make that a really strong edge. So it sort of implies that like this plane, right here, carries through behind this little fissure and then pops back out there. I find like most of the drawings I do, I can sort of whiz around most of the drawing, and then there's like these few select spots that's worth slowing down a lot and just taking your time. And generally that's kind of like, I feel like how drawings go. There's like 5 spots to really spend your time making right, and then the rest like be loose about it because it like needs it. It'll look too tight. It's easy for like brush strokes and lines to look constricted and not free flowing. Like if a lot of your lines end without any reason, it gives that like busy effect. Like every one of these like lava curves, I tried having them have a relationship with at least one other line near it. Does that make sense? Some sort of relationship, whether it's like curving at the end in the same way or sort of how like you draw like 3D letters, and you have to like do the outline outside of the letter first, and then when you make it bubbly, you gotta do like the inside line and how you like follow your other line. Same kind of way. Like you don't want like I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this so tiny, but I don't want to disobey this edge with my brushstroke. I want to like follow that. Does that make sense? Like I don't want to just do like a thing that doesn't match the edge. I want to like kind of have a similar shape. Just getting there. Like over here with darkness. Also, water's deceiving with darkness a lot. Because it does that thing. Like you ever put water on wood? It looks like you stained it for a second until it dries. That's the effect I'm talking about, where you didn't actually make it darker, you just wet it. And then like it dries to the same color and you're like, oh, I didn't actually add any pigment. Find myself running into that a lot, like, oh, there we go. And then like I look back and I'm like, oh wait, no, it's the same black. Oops. Like it kind of happened there, so I'm gonna like be a little bit more aggressive. Again, that looks really dark, but what? Like, give it 3 minutes. Watch. Like, it's probably gonna lose 25%. I've had to learn to trust that. And like manipulate that. My brush isn't like cooperating. And it's because I'm like right near the edge of the paper. So it's hard to get these like free flowing strokes. I find dragging your brush the direction you want to go helps get that like flowy line better. Rather than like I guess what I mean by that is I have to show on a paper like you could do this, right? If you want to do a zigzag. But I think the better way to do it is literally like always make sure your brush is like drag, like my sleeve just got cut. Let me get some more paint in my brush here. So like that's like one way, right? Another way is to like make sure that your brush is always like pulling this way. So like as you go around the turn, you like also turn your brush with the turn. You see what I'm saying? And as I come around this turn, I turn it again. I'm like actually twisting it in between my fingers. And you can see there's like a little bit more of a consistency in how like the round happens. And it's just like the difference of like disobeying the way your brush wants to go or not. It's like you make a turn, you like turn the brush with it like that. That makes sense. Like you don't just go. Like you can, but it's gonna be like it's easier to lose that. Like what I look for in a line is I like when a line starts thin, gets thick, and thins out again at the end, where it ends. And I get a higher consistency doing it like that. Like just take, and it's really hard. It was really hard to do it there on like a piece of paper floating in the air. But like when you're on a canvas and it's up mounted in front of you on an easel and you can like move your whole arm, it's much easier to do that. How long have we been going? 3 hours. Nice. That's like a good one. Good average. Good soft opening drawing of the day. Get the watercolor rust off. I've been making a lot of video game stuff. It's like all I've been doing lately, which is like, it requires a lot of my like visual strength, but I'm not necessarily like using my muscles to literally physically draw on a piece of paper, so it can feel a little clumsy when you pick up a brush again after a few weeks. I've managed to keep sketching on the side with my little like pens and stuff, but I haven't watercolored in a quick minute. Guess I just keep deciding I want this darker. Because the darker this is, the more the back is gonna push out in distance. And one of the most important things is to separate your value map, your value tone map. There's so many names for it. Basically, generally, I mean, you can divide your dynamic range as much as you want, but generally try to have 3 main value areas in your drawing. So like your lightest spot, your darkest spot, and your mid-tone spot. And I'm talking like when you unfocus your eyes and you can't see any of the detail of the painting, you should just be able to see like clearly, like dark, light, mid-tone. So in this one, I'm being like dark, mid-tone, light, right? That's like from the bottom up. It can get more complicated than that, like when you're separating tougher subject, like a city street with a bunch of lights and restaurants and stuff. In that case, like you just have to really pay attention to your edges, like where are the darks and the lights coming together. Because essentially it's almost like a law of nature, right? So you can't see something dark unless there's something light next to it. You can't see something dark unless there's something light next to it. Like you can't see something light unless there's something dark next to it. Can't escape that rule, and you always have to kind of be creating these little opposing values all the time, or like nothing will read. And that's a dance that's hard to figure out, and you got to play with all day, all the time, every drawing. That's why a lot of like schools will train you to I should say schools of thought, because I didn't go to school, but like schools of thought will train you to be like doing your thumbnails in black and white first, because it's a good practice to really lay out that value map, because the thing is like color goes on top of value. Like you're picking, like the value dictates the color more than the color dictates the value. It's more important informationally when your brain is trying to read something. Like your brain takes in like strong silhouettes of things, basically. And that's how it like reads the environment. And so the stronger you can make something, simpler you can make something, the better. And what they'll do is they'll make you flesh out your ideas in pure value map, and they only allow you to use 3 shades. It's like you can't have all these like intense variations in your grays, or subtle variations in your grays rather. So you have to do your value. Like I have to do this with just 3 shades. And when you do that, you notice like you really have to start thinking about like what's gonna be light and what's gonna be dark. You can't like kind of dilly-dally it. It's like, oh right, yeah, okay, wow. I'm like, when I started doing that, I immediately noticed how bad I was at like planning that out and thinking about it, and how little I do. I mean, like drawing you can get to such an intuitive point. It's kind of like I would compare it directly to a musician. You can get so good without knowing any music theory, right? Like you can become like almost one of the best musicians in the world, but there's a line that you hit where it's like, if you want to get to that next level of understanding and control, I think that's maybe what like that kind of musician lacks sometimes, and even if they don't want to admit it, is they lack a little bit of control. Like when they're trying to find a chord they want, or if they're trying to make a song sound the way they want. They'll get there, but it'll take them longer, it'll be harder. versus like understanding color, understanding harmony. You can be like, oh, this chord's sad. This chord usually lands nice on this one. This is this type of resolution. This is this type of resolution. And having that stuff in my toolkit has become so powerful. Like the power of thumbnailing, man, like before you do a final piece is incredible. Like I would say my drawings would have come out 50% worse without some of those beforehand. Especially tough ones, like big commissions with dogs that are supposed to look the way they need to look. I change my process probably like twice a year, like majorly through discovery. So that's currently where I'm at. Everything I say is like where I'm currently at, if that makes sense. It's like I don't really want to say I've found the way for anything. Does that make sense? Like there's always a different way. Maybe the wrong thing to say is like there's always a better way, but there's always a different way, whether it's better or not. And the funny part about exploring and experimenting is a lot of the discoveries are made in the unknown unknowns, where, you know, you're going through this exercise that's not necessarily fun because you're trying to improve your lines or whatever, but then you like accidentally discover this way you drew a line that like changes your whole life. It's like, that's what I mean. It's like studying some like compound in a lab, and then you accidentally do the wrong chemical reaction and find another compound that's way more useful. And like you would have never found that through just like Googling or having some teacher be like, yo, do this. Like the only way to find that was through like trying some thing outside of your comfort zone, or like applying something to your art that maybe you were too lazy to before or not diligent enough to. Because that's really what it is. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard like, I just don't want to practice. Like, that's it. I mean, you know, if you don't want to practice, then I don't want to hear that I can only draw stick figures. You know what I mean? It's exactly why you can only draw stick figures. The talent is the drive to learn something. It's not like being born into something crazy. It's the interest level. You have to be talented at loving something so much that you can't put it down. Like it's, and then the rest comes. But man, like find all those like little things that the masters say and try them, man. Like don't just be like, yeah, and not try them. Like don't try to do a lot less of I understand that and a lot more application in your life. Like try to understand it and then apply the shit out of it into something. Try to make it happen. You know how many times I've like watched something and I'm like, oh, I get that. Give me that thing. And then I like go to do it and I'm like, yeah, can you explain that again? Like within a second. So like that's the difference between like applying and understanding. It's somehow they're different echelons of like, I don't know, what's the word, intelligence or thinking, maybe like layers of thinking.
Yep. It's a thing in education that we talk about.
Yeah, what is it called again? Is it like a
taxonomy?
What was it?
Bloom's taxonomy.
Bloom's taxonomy. There it is.
It's the pyramid where the base is like just knowledge and the very top is creating, and there's different steps along the way.
Gotcha. Yeah, and there's like teaching, right? Teaching's one of the layers of it.
Evaluating, analyzing.
Because if you can teach it, then you know it better than understanding it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing too, is like you can understand something, but you can't teach it. Like, I've had that experience too. Cool. So now I have to make like a yellow gouache. Because there's some highlights in the logbook here that need to happen. So I've had this thing where I keep thinking I get something in my eye, but it's really just this really thin piece of hair stabbing my eye. And I've had to get, like realize that that's what that is. So, huh?
So eventually you'll get your hair cut.
Yeah,
One day.
for sure.
I'll do it.
Uh, so happy that drawing of the day is back. Took me so long to see that comment. Sorry. Me too. Me too. Tangents can prevent me from reading the comment section too long sometimes. Glad they're not rants. And I have a bit of yellow on my palette, gouache, not watercolor. Over here, off camera. Watercolor and gouache can mix together if you're like color mixing. Just I noticed that watercolor is like really weak when it comes to like transforming the color of gouache, so you'll just kind of run into that basically. But seems to be a more like cadmium yellow, not so much a they would call light or lemon yellow. And there's just these little hot spots that happen in magma. It's not a lot. It's a lot less than there is the orange, but where it's extra hot and or it'll happen too where there's lava flow. So like where there's lava pouring and hitting other lava from like a lava fall from like high up. Where it's impacting is normally very is much hotter and brighter because it's just heating up again from like grinding against itself. And normally the lava on the edges near the walls is a little bit more cooled down. And then amongst these little white or yellow patches, you'll see these super pure white little like flares happening. I'm trying to get now at some white gouache. And I'm gonna have to go down my brush size here. Brush size changing. Where is it? I just saw it. My watercolor brushes have become like the most well-kept ones. Because the thing with like watercolor, it's really easy to get out of the brush once you're done using it. It's like acrylics, they just wreck your shit. It's like if you don't get on cleaning that stuff immediately, it's like pretty much the first time you use one, it's done. Like it's not never gonna be the same.
Not never.
Not never gonna not be the same.
Ain't gonna never not.
Ain't gonna never not. It won't never not. Will not.
Oh, that's great.
So instead of going like pure white, I'm doing like a I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's like almost white yellow, basically. It still might not even be and my brush is too big. Actually, it's the color before the white. So it's this, even less of it, and then like a couple little dashes of white. Like only where it's building up. Like right here, be a little, like over here is building. Maybe a little spark there. Sort of like that. It's kind of starting to look more fiery now. What? Said what?
Magmatic.
Magmatic. Yeah, and there you go. Yeah. It is magmatic indeed. All right. Now I get the white with a smaller brush. Trying to remember what I said 30 seconds ago. What do people say? Oh, I'm getting old. My memory's getting bad. Do you guys think that when you start saying you're getting old, you get even older because you're like reinforcing it in your mind? I wonder. Do you just help along the process? I think words are that powerful. I think they have potential to be. I'm not gonna go ahead and say 100% yes, but I will say, I don't know. People tend to act out their beliefs and their convictions and their personalities, so I don't know. Try to not say I'm old, because I don't feel old, like on the inside, you know? I've been around a little bit now at this point. I'd say, like, it's safe to say, like, if you're 30, you can say you've been around a little bit. Just a little. It's crazy to think, though, you know, you can live a whole nother, like, from this point on, with, like, average life expectancy, you can go to, like, you can go to 90-ish. It's, like, whole nother 60 years. It's like, holy shit. Whole other 60 years of this shit? Just kidding. Pretend you didn't see that. No one saw that. This is literally what I mean. It's like these tiny, tiny little, like... That was even too big. Too big. Like, just, yeah, no. Get off. Get off. Yeah. We all fulfill our own ramblings in some degree on accident. Trying to be more conscious of what I ramble to myself all the time. Like, one of my favorite responses to someone, if they're like, oh, I'm so stupid or something, it's like, well, then you are. Because if you think about it, like, they just called themselves stupid. Oh, my favorite. I can't do it. Well, then you can't. You're right. You know, like that's my point. Like I feel like they affect us to at least that degree. Like you're already making it more difficult for yourself, at least by saying you can't. But and you got to be realistic with yourself, right? If you're 75 and you have a broken hip, you're not gonna go try to beat the next Olympic runner, right? And just be so like, yeah, but you set your mind to anything. No. There's practicality in the universe. Oh, might have to do a bathroom break here, guys. Kind of hit me again. We're in a good spot though. We're closing to the finish line. I'm gonna do something like, I'm gonna do what I did here with the gouache and make this, these fissures erupting and more glowy and stuff. And then I'm gonna add some smoke, like black smoke coming up from the stuff burning. And then I think I'm gonna do some clouds here.
Oh.
Yeah, some clouds. And sometimes in volcanic things, if there's no wind, it's sort of like the atmosphere, like the smoke from the volcanoes sort of like float up to a certain altitude, and then there's like this little space below them where you can still see like a brighter sky. So I'm gonna try to capture that, but oh my God, the voice of reason. I'm trying, try to reason with this crazy reality every day. But I am gonna go to the bathroom and take a little leg stretcher. I'll be right back. I hope to see you when I return. So thanks for hanging out so far. I love you all. Be right back. Thank you so much for sticking around. We're back close to the finish line. I'm gonna bang it out here. Um, I'm gonna jump right to the sky. Where's my brush? Brush. Use the same one I was using. So I was just talking with Kirsten over here, saying the sky is already pretty much overcast color, so I'm going to try to brighten it a little here on the bottom near the horizon. UFO in the clouds. I think we can do that. I feel like I've been good about not giving you ideas. Yeah, you've been very behaved. And you can see like how much whiter that is compared to the natural color of the sky. I'm gonna mix it with some of this green I have. See what happens. There we go. Can fix that, you know. Cut it right down to that line. I don't want this to be a perfect white. I'm kind of letting like the dirtiness of my palette contaminate it. I know I'm turned a bit here. It's just because of it was easier to get the brushstroke. Don't be afraid to turn your paper, by the way. I don't because cameras, but when I'm drawing off camera, I'm constantly twisting and turning my paper, unless it's like a giant canvas on a easel, then you don't really need to because it's big enough. But I mean, why handicap yourself when you're trying to draw a line, right? It's like sure, like there's like the purist, like I need to be able to draw a line from any direction, no matter what's happening. But just cheat when you can, make it easier. Why not? You know? Like there's good forms of cheating. Efficiency, as we call it. I just like,
shortcuts.
yeah. I like how this is just sort of like coming off the brush without any water here is kind of textury and the sky to darken as it goes up to the top of the drawing. And I'm trying to stay outside the black line for the most part. Things far in the background, I don't care sometimes when I completely cover the line because generally there's nothing that too hard edged like off in the distance. Like just confirm it for yourself. Like next time you're overlooking a bluff, look out to the farthest thing you can see and tell me if you see a harsh black line outlining it. A lot of my confidence comes from really observing the world. Like my confidence in knowing what things look like. And that came with just endless observation. Like nothing about that was just like coming out the womb with like, oh yeah, I know what that looks like. It's definitely a whole lot of like the thing is like you can get better at drawing all day. Like while you're doing other shit by like just literally looking at things a little bit more intently than you normally would and taking mental notes. Like and it's definitely like a lazy thing versus not being lazy. Like it's easy to just kind of walk around and be oblivious all day, which is definitely nice to do. But like you know, if you're actively trying to improve at drawing, next time you're out in the world or anything, like just take an extra couple seconds to like mental note like light bouncing off something in a certain way or like just anything. Like just take a second to look at it and remember it. That took forever. Like to finally start being like just like having a big library takes forever. Will never end. I mean, increase your library till you die. Like satisfying painting this white right now, I'm not gonna lie. Just feels good. I like opaque paint and covering things with it. And I'm kind of just getting this to like a clean white slate. And then I'm gonna like add some cloudage. If I was Watercolor Master Pro, I would have done it first try with like uh I guess I would say on non-toned paper, you know, if you had the pure white to work with from the start. But on toned paper you don't. So I'm gonna bring it to the pure white, and then I'm gonna try actually an experiment here. I'm going to once I finish, just making sure I'm not cut off here. Once I finish this little outline, again here's the 20%, right? On the drawing, or I'm going to just take extra time. Like I'm not gonna rush and make sure I just like don't like overlap anything that I care for. Sometimes it's worth like going over some of the lines you drew in the distance, like I said, to like haze them out a bit, not make them so like often a mistake I make in drawing like distant mountains with pen is drawing them. Like don't draw them too much. Like almost like draw the mountains as like hatch marks in the shape of mountains. That's it. Leave it at that. Same thing with distant clouds. And they just come out so much more distant. So here's the experiment. Rather than going here and trying to get some grays going, right? I'm just gonna get some water and wipe the gouache off now. Kind of push it around, see if the gray will show back through. I don't know if this is gonna work the way I want it to. Just like pick a spot here and sort of kind of rub out a cloud shape somehow. Still have too much gouache on the brush. And this water is getting... Here, random water on my desk. I'll use that. Actually, you know what would be better? If I just got, like, some paper towel, honestly. Or wait, no. A dry brush, actually. Try a dry brush. That brush had yellow on it, damn it. It's fine. I mean, as long as it's not like this pure, consistent texture, it's all. See, it didn't take my time there, and then I went over the line. Got too dabby and rushy. Saved it a little bit there. Just wanted to be a brighter day in this drawing, even though we're in a dark volcanic environment. Okay. Actually, I gotta go reset my water really quick here. I'll be right back. There we go. Appreciate you sticking around. All right. Still not dry, so I guess it was worth letting it dry a sec. This paper is like super warped right now, by the way. It's actually doing a pretty good job from the angle you're seeing it by not looking that way, but I'm like holding the edge of papers down here. I think I need to get a little more of this orange while the sky is drying. I'll get back to it in a second. I'm gonna bring back some of this orange. I didn't quite apply it enough to the little fissures. Just a little bit, like right where they open. It's nothing like it's not gonna be a major difference. They're just a little faded. It's a little faded. It's not like bright. Let's see. It's like I'm seeing a little bit of the rock through it too much, and then now that I'm taking a closer look, this is wrong here on this side. According to what I'm going for. This little edge here, it's not gonna be that prominent. Where it almost looks like orange lights spilling over the edge right here. It needs to be like, well, that didn't cover it all. Get some water. It's canvas mixing and palette mixing. You can mix it on your palette first and then dip your brush and then touch the canvas, or you can like get like a concentrated spot of paint on your canvas and then add water and sort of spread it around that way. They're both equally as good things to get familiar with, I would say, in painting. Because there's a lot of times, I would say like where canvas mixing comes in, there's like clouds, for example. There's a lot of times where like it's just better to have, like you'll get more accuracy having them mix on the canvas live, like on the object you're trying to draw, than trying to plan out ahead. It's almost like playing into a little bit of like watercolor benefits when you're working with opaques. Speaking of watercolor benefits when you're working with opaques, you can make opaques transparent, by the way. Like it's not, you're not just like stuck completely solid color all the time. It's you like I do washes with acrylic. It's just diluting the paint. It just doesn't. The thing is, you're on like a sealed, primed canvas instead of like a piece of paper, so the way it absorbs and spreads around is much different. With like it's almost like the difference is like painting on a paper towel versus painting on a car, like a smooth plastic. It's surface. It's like the canvas has the grooves in it, but it's still like sealed. So when something gets watery, it'll start like beating up on it and like puddling. It won't like go into the canvas. So you have to kind of there's a too much with adding water to acrylic, for sure. But it's definitely a thing, and I would say my acrylic is always somewhat watered down. It's never pure. So like you can't really draw fine lines and grass blades and stuff with like pure thick acrylic. It needs to be kind of thinned out into this inky texture anyway to sort of be able to have it run off the brush almost like a fountain pen. The only time I'm going real thick with paint is like putting like a big dark like brown tree trunk over like a blue sky or something, where it just needs to cover like the first stroke, and like that's like the one occasion it's like. But even then I put a little bit of water. I still thin it out a little bit. Like it just helps with the way it performs. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's something that everyone does anyway. Like there's like products to naturally thin paint, and I just use water. There's like agents you can get that stop it from drying fast. And I have this little hand sanitizer thing I got from the whole, you know what, sickness, and I've had it for like 2 years now. It's been like my favorite little palette sprayer, and it's like awesome. It'll keep my record one day because I had this like really complex palette going on. I saran wrapped my palette just to see, and the next day I was able to use my palette acrylics. So what was that? It was like I think it was like the longest ever was like 17 hours I kept my palette wet or something like that. So you can do it. You don't need oils just because like they take longer to dry. I mean, they're also referring to how it performs on the canvas too, and there's all sorts of wet and dry techniques and whatnot. But I've experimented a lot with keeping the palette wet because that's like the first thing I ran into doing acrylics. I was like, ah, shit, like I'm taking too long to get my colors up, and then they all dry, and then I forget what I did, and I forget which colors I put together, and like, 'cause color mixing can get kind of you can kind of get lost in the woods sometimes on your palette. Like you don't remember, like you'll get like the color you want, but you don't necessarily remember how you got there, and it just helps when your palette can stay active for those reasons. Like immediately I started looking into how to keep things wet. Like, and the saran wrap was messy, of course, you know, because like the next day opening it, it was like sticking to the top and then like smushed everything down. But overall, that was just one scenario where I needed to go all out, and like it worked. Generally, I just use the spray bottle with like the palette open. It'll last as long as I need it. Like pretty much it gets to the point like you'll start noticing the paint will start separating too much, and you'll go to like paint with it and it won't like cover good, and it'll be really watery. That's like when you've added too much water. All you do is add a little bit more paint in. There is a line with it. But that's why the mist is good. It can't be like water, like drops. It's gotta be like a fine mist over the top of the paint. The other thing that happens too is it'll like seal the paint in this little like surface tension water barrier that like keeps it wet too. Like water sitting on top of the paint. Because what happens with acrylics on your palette is like they dry, and it dries in this like little bubble. It's like a gusher. It's like the outside layer will like dry like a balloon. You still have all this wet paint on the inside. So it's like, if anything, just like mixing your palette often keeps it wet. Like more wet than letting it sit. I even have to turn my fan off that I have on normally above me when I do acrylics because it dries them too quick when I'm painting. I generally don't mind acrylic drying fast. Just on like skies, basically. Like blending clouds and gradients from like a really nice light blue to a dark midnight blue up where it hits space. Having the clouds, it's to me like I gotta work quick with that, blend it fast, but pretty much everything else you can like nitpick and like mix per object. Just kind of staring at my drawing now. Okay, no. Actually, now that it's dry, it did what I was trying to do. Sometimes you can't even see it till it's dry. But you can see already there's a lighter band of light just above the mountains here. And then like it makes this contrast with the clouds above. And I'm gonna kind of cut into them, give them some dimension. The overcast, like I want these clouds to be vague. It's like you're almost looking through a haze at them. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like a sunny beaming scenario where like it's coming through the clouds or like highlighting anything too much. Take a little bit of water, which I happy accident grabbed black and it like made it gray, which is nice. This isn't necessarily the best like blending brush in the world, but make it do. I just want this edge between where the sun's cracking through, meeting the volcanic clouds, is like just a little bit more smooth and gradient. The gouache always trips me out too. Like it goes on super white and then like it dries. You're like, oh, wasn't super white enough. About time I could do a couple last Instagram reel clips here. Sounds like the bird wants more birdseed.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Chickens.
I know. Little bit of cloud definition, not make them like just lines, you know. Clouds are poofy. So poof them. It always helps to draw like if something's round to like do round brush strokes. Like when I draw leaves in a tree, I'll do this little slight curve with my brush. So that the leaves they turn into these little C's, like obtuse C's, like not quite closed. And it like when all the leaves are curved like that in different directions, they just look so much better. I actually kind of like that right there. How those clouds kind of just magically turned into clouds, just like that. Contrast clouds. Anyway. Oops. Mind me while I throw my brush across the room. Yeah. Yeah, just gonna look at it for a second. Ah, yes, I know what we need to do. Thinner brush. Water. And some of this yellow I was making before, which is now dry, but that's not a problem, guys, because guess what? It's gouache. Gouache to me is like just better acrylic, honestly. It's just like what I want acrylic to be. The waterproofness of acrylic is nice though. Like an acrylic painting is gonna last a long time, durability wise. Like you could spill a bucket of water on that thing and it'll just be perfectly fine. Watercolor, spill a bucket on a watercolor, or a bucket of water on a watercolor, you're gonna be worried. Shit might never be the same. So I'm just sort of adding little like little extra bright magma bits here that I did put in the lake, but I didn't put in these little fissures yet. This one can be splashing and kind of erupting a little more. My sky isn't dry there yet, so it's sort of screwing me over there, but whatever. Something like that, and this isn't the perfect volcano scene I've ever done, but it's the soft opening drawing, you know? Soft opening guy. You know, two trees, pencil marks. All right. Same thing, just like kind of right where it's extra magma-ish. Magmish. What was it before? What did you say? We thought of it. Yeah, magmastic. Magtastic. There we are. There we go. I love how you bring out the highlights and bright spots and everything. That is my favorite part of the painting, let me tell you. Like when everything's done, you just go in with the lightest color and get to like decorate little cherries on top all around it. That's the best. It's always like the last 5% too, but it's like the best. I think I enjoy the sky too, like when it's like a big painting, because you just get to like throw a bunch of paint up, you know? It's just like get to go crazy with it. Because like part of making a good sky is like just allowing things to blend and like chaotically, basically. Well, one thing left to do is to sign it, so I'm gonna call it there. I feel pretty happy with this one. And actually, I'm not gonna sign it because you know what? I don't care, and I don't like how black it is. And you're not gonna see it. Maybe I can sneak it in the corner. It's really blacker. Just gonna do a little JC3, really tiny. I don't even care if no one sees it. But there we have it, guys. First drawing of the day, season 2, episode 1. Hell yeah. It's so good to be back. I'm glad we made it happen. Next Saturday is going to be at 9 a.m. I ran into so many setup things today. It's insane. I switched my streaming software and stuff, so anyway. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was so good to see y'all. I'm so glad y'all hopped in wherever it was, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I need to go check out where everything happened because I like did an experiment today. But yeah, I'll see you next Saturday. Love you, Steph. We'll talk soon about the commission painting. Yeah, we'll talk about that soon. $20,000. I'm kidding. Cool. I love you all so much. Good to see you, Mom. Good to see you, sis. And I will see you all next Saturday. Possibly, I might even feel like a little Zelda stream before then. I don't know. See. But if not, next Saturday, yeah. And I'll give a little flash of the drawing again here. Simple volcanic scene, little trench. Some fissures. I don't know how many volcanic scenes I've drawn now in my life. I've definitely revisited this topic many times. I love it. Just letting you stare at it for a second before I cut the tape. I'm staring at it too. Actually, you know what? This didn't dry quite the way I needed it to. Right here. Just see this edge? I just got water. And because everything reactivates. Like, see how white that looks? Watch, let's give it a second. This is shit that drives me nuts about watercolor. See how that's just already like kind of disappearing. Could even drag it here a little bit more. Didn't have quite enough water. Sometimes the old swipe of the finger is the most trusty tool to tell you. Like, get something to blend, you just like dab it and swipe it with your finger and done. It's blended just the way you need it to be. Okay, I kind of like how that cloud layered a little bit there. This will happen. I'll see these like touch-ups right before I stand up all the time. It's worth like hashing them out to me. Sometimes I might get a little ridiculous with the touch-ups at the end. but
It's done. Now it's done. Well,
I don't mind the yeah, I don't mind the clouds being like chaotic because like in this situation you have like clouds fighting clouds, so it's probably gonna look something like that. Um, oh, you know what I didn't do? I said I was gonna do this. Sorry, pause. Everyone stay if you want to watch. Here we go. Black smoke.
yeah.
It's definitely needed. I just forgot. It's not like something I'm touching up that's wrong. It's just didn't do it. I know. And smoke uses entropy to spread out as it goes up, so it never gets thinner. All right. Yeah, there it is. That's the final touch. I swear. I do. Wait, no, okay, no. I'm just kidding. All right, I'll save the whole "I love y'all, see you next time" spiel, but because I already said it. But I love y'all and see you next time. No, I do seriously. Cool. Episode 1, season 2. Let's keep it going. We made it to 29 last time. I wonder what we'll make it to this time. Have a great night. Goodbye. I saw your comments, Stephanie. Oh, geez, I'm scared. Okay, bye.